Well, good afternoon. I'm really excited about this next discussion, which concerns the inextricably intertwined subjects of art and free expression and how it reverberates through society.
So thank you all for coming, and thank you very much for coming here, flying in today.
It's the first and maybe only time in my life I'll be interviewed by someone whose the building is named after.
As a fiction writer, do you feel you have greater freedom to say what you want to say without having people beat you up for saying something that is politically incorrect?
I was cognizant of the fact that we are now in an environment where people are going to read fiction as if it were nonfiction. That is to say, if you're writing from the point of view of, like myself, Muslim American or whatever, and you're using a third-person narrator, people are going to say, well, that's probably him, right? I get this all the time.
Did you enjoy your childhood in Milwaukee?
I did. I grew up in the western suburbs of Milwaukee. It was actually very, very Republican part of the state now, which I only mention just because when I say that I grew up in a Waukesha, people are like, oh my God, it must have been horrible in New York, if they have any understanding of the political landscape. And it was not horrible at all. I found folks in Wisconsin to be incredibly open-hearted and welcoming. I never felt excluded. I never felt like an outsider. And if I did feel different, I basically was taught in my family that we were different and we were better. So I didn't give it a Pulitzer. I mean, in the sense that I remember that I won. I was in London. We were actually in rehearsal for that play to go up in London, and I was rewriting it as I learned that it won the Pulitzer. And then the New York Times did a piece about the play going up and had mentioned that I had rewritten the play since winning the Pulitzer, which was something that writers didn't often do. To which my response in the New York Times article was, I didn't give it a Pulitzer. So I knew it needed work,
okay,
and that it won an award is not going to change the fact that it needed work. It's an interesting question because embedded in that is the sense of expectation and what you're doing it for. And so in my case, I am always trying to make the work better.
So were you ever interested in being in the movie world as well? Being a movie director?
I was never, this is a fascinating conversation. I was never interested in being a movie director, but what's the reason you asked?
So you would say that the big technology companies you're referring to have done things that are not helpful to freedom of expression?
I feel it's totally outrageous that somehow we are told, or we as artists, that some writer friends of mine would police me on social media about what I can and can't write, or that Elizabeth Gilbert would pull a novel because it had characters who lived in Russia. What universe are we living in? We're dealing with, folks in Alabama who don't want their kids being exposed to the history of slavery in this country. We're dealing with folks who feel that, misrepresentations of trans identity are somehow harmful to the trans community, so they should be stopped. Everybody's trying to figure out how to stop somebody else from saying something that they don't like.
So today, as a writer who sometimes says things that other people might not like, do you worry about the possibility of being physically attacked because of what you've written? Or is that something you think is not realistic that you have to worry about? Do you feel the United States is really better than other countries in allowing the freedom of expression, or really we've retrogressed and we're really behind some other countries?
There isn't really an alternative. Like, you just have to defend the right for people to say stuff you don't like. It's just unfortunate that that's the case.
I would just say, if your experience at Brown was the 2 best hours of your life, I hope you'll think this is the second best 2 hours of your life.
Thank you.